ladies and gentlemen, it's time to expect the unexpected. On stage, Bryntse. Woo!
Thanks a lot. That's probably the coolest intro I've ever received, and I've ever will receive on a stage, especially when talking about something exciting like error handling in JavaScript web apps. So, hello, my name is Bryntse. I'm from Lund, moved up to Stockholm a couple of years ago. I've been working with JavaScript for the past 10 years. Founded a company called Bryntum. We do some UI components, scheduling charts, Gantt charts, and then we recently dug into the error logging and also JavaScript testing tooling community. We have a Twitter if you want to follow us, and a website as well. So today it's all about error handling. And by the way, who has not seen this meme? Is there anyone who hasn't seen this, who's seeing this for the first time? All right, excellent. Maybe next time I'll get a new one. So let's start with the basics. JavaScript errors are unhandled exceptions in your code base, or in the framework you use, in Angular, React, Bootstrap, Sencha, doesn't really matter. The end user will not be impressed if this happens in a real-world web app. So you have a poor user impression. And when we have a JavaScript code base in the size of megabytes, we cannot ignore logging and following up on what's happening on the client's machines. We're used to doing this in PHP Java. We have catch-all on the server side, right? So now it's time to apply that into the JavaScript domain as well. So good news, it's easy. And just to give some context here, when we as developers, when we face an error, it's easy. We just open the console to figure out what's going on, right? Not very hard. But when a user sees an error, what do they see? I mean, when they have an error, when they try to add to cart or something, they see nothing, right? So they get grumpy, which is natural, right? So we've all been there. We click, and then the screen doesn't react, and we think, maybe we didn't click hard enough. So we click a little bit harder, and a little bit harder, and a little bit harder, and then it's just, you turn into that grumpy cat, right? So we've all been there. So the end user really has only two scenarios. So either you capture the error and show them, okay, we failed, there was an error, we're looking into it, or nothing happens for the user, and they'll probably reload the page, try again, cry a little, grab a coffee, go home. I don't know, they won't have a great day, right? Maybe if you're lucky, they will email you, they might call you, they might knock on your door, punch you in the face. Either of those things. But this is only if you're lucky, like that you get to be aware of what's actually going on. So just a quick demo to make sure we're all on the same page. So this is some React app I found. If I click, maybe I didn't click it hard enough. All right, so that's what the user sees. They get angry. But of course, as developers, we can just open and see there's definitely a bug here, right? Somebody misspelled console log. So wouldn't it be nice if every error was this easy? Like, I've never seen this error ever, but it would be so nice. So this is like a 1-second fix. So that's what I mean when I say JavaScript error. And when this happens, there's an error event raised on the window object. And there you get some nice context. You get the message, file name, line number, column number, and error. And the two last ones you only get in normal browsers that don't contain the word letters I and E in the name. I'm not going to mention them by name. So to track these errors, you can just set up a global error handler on the window. So this is old school DOM level 0 code, window on error, and then you get these parameters passed to your function like that. If you want to be a little bit more fancy, modern, then you can listen to the window error event. And for bonus points, you also add the last argument, true, which also means you get notified about resource load failures, such as image tag, script tag, link tag failure, which should also mean like a dramatic error in your app. It's not a natural thing to have resources just start failing. That's not a good thing for your browser, for your experience. And if you want to throw your own errors, you can do that. You can throw a string, which is not a good idea because you don't get a call stack. Much better to do a real error instance. So throw new error, pass in some message that gives context, and then you get a stack. And of course, just like in other languages on the server side, we can have try, catch, finally. So yeah, try, code is what you write after you go to the pub, and then you check it in, catch, oops, and then log. So stuff like that. And then I'm sure many of you have seen this one. This is a kind of a cryptic one. Who has seen this in application code? So that's not that many. So if you have errors coming from other domains, like you include jQuery from a CDN or something like that, then you have to be a little bit careful with how you include that script to make sure you don't just get a cryptic script error. Because this means you get nothing. No stack, no column, no line, no file. You have really nothing to go on. It's just like blind debugging, like, where could this be? You have no chance. The solution is easy. Just add a cross-origin attribute to the script tag, like this, on the script tag itself. And then on the serving side, you add a special course header that makes sure that the server will pass the context back to you. So this is very simple to solve. So ideally, you should only see this type of error once. And then you get annoyed, really annoyed, and then you fix it. So now let's move on to the bug fix process. So to fix a bug, first it has to happen somewhere. Then it has to be reported by someone, right? That's how it works. And then somebody has to be assigned to the bug to investigate it. Then we reproduce it. When we reproduce it, we write a test case, like the TDD process, right? And then we fix it, right? We don't go from occurrence to fix unless you're a wizard that can see the future and stuff like that. So there's a clear process here. And we as developers, we need context to fix a bug, right? So this is one of my favorite cartoons, which reflects like how I feel on the right when somebody comes to me or emails me or writes in my forum, doesn't work. Okay, great. So we need context. We need call stack or logs, so we need something, right? So who can identify with this photo? Like, it should be all right. I'm assuming that those of you who don't raise the hand, you're too lazy. But we need context. So what do we need? We need error message, we need file line number, call stack. Screenshot would be great. Step-by-step description, if we're lucky, logs of users, the browser session activity, all the goodies, the internals that's happening under the hood. Also very helpful if we could see the user reproduce the error, but super hard to achieve unless you can videotape each user. Live breakpoint would be great. If you can reproduce it in the production, that would be awesome. But even better, when you have a live breakpoint in your own machine on your own favorite browser, like that's when we feel like secure, we feel like champions, like we feel like ostriches skiing down the mountain. Am I the only one who feel like this when I have like a nice reproduced bug? This is how good it feels, isn't it? No? I thought this was real for a few seconds, and then I realized that they have to break the legs like backwards. And then I thought that it was actually they taught an ostrich how to ski. But then I Googled some more, and I was really sad when I realized it's a Japanese commercial. So it's just computer made. I'm sorry. But it's cool. So to me, a live breakpoint is worth 1,000 call stacks. When I have something reproduced in my browser, that's when I get speed. And that's when I feel confidence I'm going to fix the bug in minutes instead of reading. So a few strategies we can apply. Of course, most people I meet, they do like the ostrich. I mean, it's nice down there, right? It's cold, but you don't see too much, and you're not worrying so much. So pros, it's very cheap. Cons, bugs live forever. Bugs, they create families, they reproduce, they form meetup groups, they go to conferences about bugs, and they have like small, but they build a house. They live a happy life. So we don't want that. Second one, email ping pong. Also very popular in the enterprise. Some user has a bug, realizes it's a bug. That's a very important one. Then they contact their internal support. They don't know who you are. You're far away, maybe in another country. So they email you. They think, OK, what does developer Joe need to fix this? Maybe some binary data, which is, of course, useless. And you'll have to reply back like, sorry, this is not how we do it. Can you give some more context? And then you play like ping, pong, like ping, pong. So this process is typically days, weeks, months. So I tried really hard, like hours, but I couldn't come up with a single pro here. But cons, yeah, everybody loses. Like time goes on, expensive, demoralizing, developers jump off buildings. It's just not fun. Then you can roll your own, which is what we did. Just assign a listener to on error hook, log it to some server, not super hard. Very, very easy to do in a day. And you get awareness, which is really nice, because then without awareness, you have no clue how well you're doing, right? And the backside of this, you have to scan code. You get a message, but then you have to figure out, so how do I get from call stack to reproduced bug? But still, it's good, it's something. And then we have a third-party logger, which is, of course, much better. They give you tons of data, they get call stacks, you get breadcrumbs, user activity, logs, which makes you much better at searching for the error. You get direction. Somebody says, okay, go that way. And then you follow that trail, and then eventually you'll find the bug. But still, there's a lot of parsing. It's a code reverse engineering and so on. So quick raise of hands. Who's doing ostrich? You don't have to be ashamed. We've all been there. It's okay. Okay, there's a few. Who's doing email ping pong? There we go. That's a popular one. It's cheap. Who rolled their own error logger? Okay, I know a few. And who's using a third-party service? Okay, cool. So if you want to roll your own error logger, it's not, maybe not 10 minutes, but it's definitely done in half a day. Set up a database, just decide what kind of fields do you want. You want message, you want call stack, date, logged in user, whatever. Set up a PHP, Java, C# script on the server to store it, call some store procedure, insert error into database. Nothing fancy. And of course, on the client side, set up a listener. Don't even think about Ajax. Just do something simple like this. Create an image source, and then log the fields you want, and add any metadata. So this is something you can probably wrap up in a day. And then some things to consider. Probably you don't want to bother your live database with this, because it's not primary data. It's just additional extra metadata. And throttle it on the client side and on the server side, unless you want to DDoS yourself. If you have a mouse move listener that crashes, that could be a nice sequence of events of thousands of events. So definitely do that. And probably we only care about the first error on the page, because the second one could be a follow-up error that has not as much significance. So just some things to consider. And this is easy. If you're thinking about it, just do it. It's not even worth having a meeting about. Just do it and try it out. And then in the tooling space, there's been some evolution recently. So the first generation tools, that's been around for 5-10 years, maybe more. We have Sentry, Rollbars, Track.js, Raygun, New Relic, Stack Hunter, tons of these error logging as a service providers. And they give you great amount of information, like call stack, additional context, any metadata you want to add. They give you a nice searchable timeline, nice dashboard, and they really provide like which error is happening to which user, so you know who to reach out to and ask for more information, and so on. So great statistics, but overall they're focusing on awareness and data gathering, which is it's pretty okay for us as developers. Managers will love it, because that's what managers like they like charts, right? So second generation tools focus more on video, like showing what the actual user did. And there's plugins, browser plugins, which allow the end user or QA to record a test case as a video and give manual feedback about the error. And then as a developer, you can replay that error and just see it live in your own application. So the focus has shifted from data gathering to data error reproduction, which is kind of a paradigm shift. So I look at a few tools that I want to highlight here. So Session Stack came out last year, generates a video recording of your session using DOM mutation observer events. And then they can actually replay it in their application so that you can see exactly what the user saw. And of course, that allows you to reproduce the error easily. But this is focusing on showing you the bug. So who has heard of Session Stack? Anyone? All right, now you have. The second one that is also very fresh is LogRocket. Anyone doing React, Redux apps here? Yeah, so you should like this one. So LogRocket records state transitions, which gives you a state timeline, and also records Ajax and all those things. So that means you can replay it and just step into any state of the Redux app. And they also allow you like a video to play it back. And this is much more focusing on reproducing the issue, not just data gathering, not just showing you what happened, but actually getting you into the live context that you want to be as developers. Remember ostrich skiing, right? So that's what they focus about. And then the last one, this is where sales hat goes on for a few minutes, is our root cause tool, which is in the same space. And we have a DOM Ajax full event recorder, so we record everything that happens in the browser, which we can then replay step by step in our replay studio, which allows you as a developer, debugger, to get straight into context, like skip these investigation part and notifying part and just straight to the breakpoint, because that's when ostrich mode is happening, right? And we also give you a timeline of the crash and a screenshot so that you will see a screenshot immediately, and we also show you the last event. So if there was a click somewhere or a keyboard type that provoked the error, we'll show you that in a nice annotated timeline. And this is, again, just like LogRocket and Session Stack, we focus on reproducing the bug. Not so much as data gathering, we still do all that, give you call stack and timeline, all that, but we focus on reproducing. So summing up, fix your external script tags. If you're including React or jQuery, Angular from some CDN, make sure you add this cross-origin attribute so you never see script error ever. And don't rely on your users reporting bugs. Then you end up in the email ping-pong hell. Unless you like it. I mean, you still get to talk to people, which could sometimes be fun. If you have a fun counterpart, then do it. And choose a way to automate your error reporting. Doesn't really matter which solution you choose, which provider, if you roll your own. Just the point is that you can automate it, and it's so simple. So just pick any strategy that I mentioned, and you will have a much happier time maintaining your app. And then to modify the cartoon, the way we see debugging now is breakpoint or GTFO. That's the way the evolution has shifted now, that we're much more focused on reproduction, not just call stack, but actual reproduction. So if you want to try our tool out, it's open in beta now. You might want to take a little screenshot. It'll be a part of the slides, of course, but there's a special invite code for you guys called Jfokus. And if you want to follow us, we have 2 Twitter accounts. So I believe we have 30 seconds, minus 30 seconds for questions, so thank you. I'll be around out here. Thank you very much.